my name is Nell and I will discuss creating a draft for a thesis or dissertation in this video. In my previous video, I discussed writing a second chapter for your thesis or dissertation. You will write many different versions for your thesis or dissertation, and you will continue reviewing what was probably just a structure in the beginning until you reach the point where you will have a final product. The following 7 steps will enable you to write a first draft. Step 1. Make an outline of your headings. The outline should be an abbreviated picture of the parts of your thesis or dissertation. You can use the outline as the scope for your dissertation or thesis if and when you need to defend your final submission. The table of content for your thesis or dissertation can serve as the outline. Initially, you will start with just a framework. As you progress with your research, the framework will grow into your actual thesis or dissertation, as well as the final table of contents for your thesis or dissertation. The outline can help you prevent and identify flaws in the structure of your dissertation or thesis. Step 2. Check your research statement, question or hypothesis. You will have written your research question, statement or hypothesis when you prepared your research proposal. You can refocus your research statement, question or hypothesis at any point while writing your thesis or dissertation if necessary. You can also refocus it as often as you wish, although you should not do this indiscriminately. Refocusing your research problem, question or hypothesis would be necessary if you were too ambitious when you decided on the scope for your research. You will need to refocus your research problem, question or hypothesis if you run out of time. However, your study leader will not take kindly to you running out of time if you dragged your feet. Step 3. Write the body of your thesis or dissertation from your notes. You must ensure that what you write flows logically, and you should check if all your ideas, arguments, evidence, figures and tables flow logically, much like the narrative for a novel. In the old days we used note cards for this. Now we have computers that make the work much easier. Step 4. Check that you cite all the information that you quoted from other sources with parenthetical citations. Parenthetical citation is where you recognize the sources of texts, statistics, etc. that you used in your thesis or dissertation. You must cite your sources when you use the following kinds of material in whole or in part: direct quotations, paraphrased and reconstructed quotations, that is, quotations where you change the original wording somewhat, statistical data, images made by someone else, song lyrics, and original ideas that belong to someone else. I will discuss referencing methods in a future video. Step 5. Write your introduction. The introduction normally has 2 parts: a general introduction to the topic of your research and your research statement. Step 6. Write your conclusions. You will write your conclusions after you've done your literature study and fieldwork. Through the conclusions, you should show your reader that the work is complete and well done. Show that the research project has been brought to a logical and realistic end, and show that you have made a positive contribution to the field of your study. This is a good place where you can restate your research problem, question or hypothesis. You can also summarize your main points of evidence here. Step 7. Prepare the title page. You can prepare the title page at any stage while doing your research and writing your thesis or dissertation. Here you must prepare the title page according to the format and requirements of the university or faculty where you study. You can and will probably submit chapters or sections of chapters for evaluation by your study leader from time to time. However, do not submit what you might regard as a final product unless you feel proud of the work that you did. You should feel confident that your study leader will be satisfied with your work. so much so that you are looking forward to his or her feedback. And even though you might expect to be showered with praise, you need to realize that the opposite might happen. Be prepared for what you might regard as cruel, unfair, and unnecessary criticism. This is when you will need to show character. Now is the time to show that you can persevere. Do not blame your study leader for not being as impressed with your work as you are. Listen or read your feedback carefully and give yourself time to think about it, to absorb it, and to decide how you can benefit from the disappointment. You can and should preempt negative feedback by evaluating and correcting your work even before your study leader tells you to do so. Here are 9 questions that you can ask of your work to find opportunities for improvement. Is it necessary to introduce new material, data, ideas, and thinking? If yes, then find the additional content and include it. Did you include arguments or information in your dissertation or thesis that adds no value because it is not relevant to the purpose of your research? If so, remove such padding from your thesis or dissertation. Is there data or arguments that you included early in your thesis or dissertation that later proved to be outdated and irrelevant? Is there more recent and relevant data or arguments in a later chapter or chapters? You should remove obsolete data and arguments. Can you find any cognitive mistakes in your arguments, conclusions, assumptions, or recommendations? If so, remove the errors or correct them. Is the structure of your chapters or sections in chapters erratic? Good software such as Atlas TI can solve the problem. Sometimes logical thinking can already do wonders for the flow of your research. Did you respond negatively, aggressively, or immaturely to the feedback from your study leader, assistant study leader, or perhaps even one or more external examiners? Apologize and thank them for their assistance. Correct your errors and inform them how you used their feedback to improve your work. Did you repeat theoretical data, arguments, etc. in your thesis or dissertation? Even simple office software can find the repetition of words or sentences if you suspect repetition and ask the software to find it for you. Did you at any stage while writing your thesis or dissertation use a research method or paradigm incorrectly? It can happen that you drift from one research method or paradigm to other more suitable ones. This is not always wrong, but if the research methods and paradigmatic approaches contradict one another, you will have to correct the error. Probably all topics on doctoral level will be of such a nature that the perfectionist will never be satisfied with the dissertation. There will always be something that needs improvement. You must draw the line somewhere, even if the temptation to do just this or that more might be strong. In summary, the structure that you will prepare when you start with your research will already be a first draft. You will end up writing and saving many versions of your thesis or dissertation until you reach the point where you are satisfied that you have achieved the purpose of your research project. You can and should review and improve your draft thesis or dissertation intuitively by correcting flaws when you identify them. You can improve your draft thesis or dissertation further by asking and answering the 9 questions that I proposed. Do not become trapped in a process of never-ending review and further research. In closing, send me an email if you have burning questions about postgraduate research. Accept that you will encounter some disappointments and obstacles. Show character and persevere. The reward will be worth your effort. Good luck with your studies. Thank you.